Do you remember a time at work when you felt just really, really frustrated about a problem and the people above you who had the power to solve that problem didn't seem to know what they were doing? And then one of them came to you and asked your opinion as to how to solve this problem. Do you remember how that felt? How that surge of adrenaline and feeling of, hey, somebody actually cares what I think, and I'm going to get a chance to solve this problem that's been frustrating and nagging me. That's the power of participative leadership styles, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Hello, I'm Jeff DeSalle. I'm your leadership coach, and if you would, please take a minute to like and subscribe, and we'll keep the videos coming. Today we're going to talk about participative leadership styles, and we're going to talk about them because they work. They work in almost every setting. We are going to talk about some areas where you want to limit the participation, but in general, more participation equals better decisions, equals more engagement and better results. I'm going to give you an example from my own past. So I took over a plant that was really struggling at one point, and the decision on whether or not to close the facility was pending. And we knew that if results didn't change, this facility was done. Now, this was the company's worst performing facility in pretty much every manner, every measurable output. So it was a tall order to try to improve this place. The atmosphere was absolutely toxic. Union leadership and management could absolutely not agree on anything, even the color of the sky. It didn't matter. They were at odds. Previous efforts to improve, driven by management, had failed miserably. The previous several managers for the facility had been let go. And I came in to give it one more try to solve the problems. So the first thing I recognize is if we don't improve our cost structure, we're not going to survive. We're going to close the site, and that's not acceptable. So in order to improve our cost structure, we need to improve our productivity. Where do we do this? Well, we were a filling operation. So if we do this on our highest speed filling line and drive the units of output, our unit cost is going to drop. We put together teams of really cross-functional involvement. We got some operators from the union who were involved operating that line. We got some mechanics who were non-union in that shop. We got some supervisors and engineers, and we put them all in a room and we said, okay, here's the problem. We need better cost structure or this plant is doomed. So what we need to do is we need to get the output per shift, the units per shift, which we were able to measure at any given moment. We need to get that up by 30%, and we need to do it in the next 6 months. And of course, what's the reaction? Well, everybody says, oh, come on, we've tried this before, it'll never work. The next reaction was, oh, we can do it, but you just got to spend $8 million and replace the filling line. Of course, that's not going to work. But once they understood their mission was to really remove frustrations from the operators so that they would be able to focus more on keeping the machines running and using the data that we had, as well as their knowledge and experience and treating the operators like experts, this is where we made the progress. Over the course of the next few months, they not only met the 30% improvement, but they beat it. And they did it in half the time that I'd given them to do it. So how did this happen? This happened because as soon as people started to realize that they were going to get supported, that they were going to be able to participate in the decisions being made, that their ideas were going to be listened to and acted upon, their interest peaked. Their energy peaked. Their engagement really came up. Their ownership of the problem came up, and they were excited to drive the output off of this line. And of course, this energy carried over to other operations on site. We were able to build other teams to solve other problems, and the ball started moving. I often have likened the situation to a snowball. And if you live in a snowy area, you're familiar, you can make a little snowball with your hand, and you can try to push it to get it started to roll down a hill, and it takes a lot of pushing at first because it's little. But as it gets going, it picks up more snow and the ball gets bigger and bigger and bigger and starts rolling faster and faster. And this is what was happening at this point. I was the first plant manager in a decade to get promoted out of that facility. Everybody else had been walked to the door. So it worked. The results came up. The site survived and thrived. And the energy level really improved. Now, I'm not going to say it solved every problem. The plant was still, struggling in some other ways. But it really started the improvement process with zero capital dollars, dealing with problems that had been festering for years and where there had been efforts to improve that had previously failed. This team getting people involved and to participate who had not previously been asked their opinion or been involved and were frustrated about that. This team drove output over 30% in a few months. That's the power of participation. If this works so well, why doesn't everybody use it? Why isn't every leader out there a participative leader? There's one really big reason, and that is that it can be uncomfortable from a leadership standpoint to be a participative style leader. And the reason for that is you have to give up some control. You're no longer in control of every decision. You're really empowering others to do what you might have previously done. And this can be a little bit uncomfortable and unnerving. So where to start? Well, start small. You don't need to solve world hunger all at once. What you need to do is start involving more people in decision making. See where it works. See who's willing to take on some empowerment and see what happens when they do. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And you want to do more and more and more of this. Now, there are some times when participative leadership styles maybe aren't the best. And a true servant leader is going to understand this. In general, they're going to operate from a participative leadership style and just kind of get out of the way and let their team make a lot of the decisions within guidelines and within previously agreed to boundaries. And they're going to go into support mode. Remove the obstacles, support where they can, support them with resources where they need it. But there are some times when central control does actually work better. And so these instances, I can think of three. One is the team is inexperienced or ill-equipped with the knowledge, experience, or tools to make a certain decision. Now, this is someplace where the leader is going to have to jump back in and either help make that decision or outright make it, and maybe take ownership of it to protect the team as well. The second example would be in an emergency situation where decisions need to be made immediately. They need to be made really without the benefit of consulting, time to consult others, and there needs to be a single point of ownership for the situation. So centralized decision making. And emergency is the best example of this. Still, where you can, the person in charge is going to want input, is going to want people's opinion as to what's going on because their eyes and ears aren't everywhere all at once. But this is an example where, a more authoritative style is probably going to work better. The third example would be when the consequences of any single decision are really profound. The potential negative outcomes are extremely severe. This is a situation where you don't want to relinquish full control. You don't want to take a laissez-faire approach to this. You want some control over the situation. You certainly want to involve people in the decision, come up with the best solution you can. But ultimately, if the consequences are extremely steep, then the leader needs to take full ownership and therefore make that final decision. So those are the examples where an authoritative style might work better. But in general, participation is good. Participation leads to buy-in and empowerment and engagement and, in general, faster action. If you're in doubt, try it. It works. All right, there you have it. That's the advantages of participative styles of leadership in a nutshell. If you would, please remember to click on the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll keep the videos coming.